let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are considering hiring Ime Udoka. If you guys have been following this show, we have said Ime Udoka should be hired ASAP Rocky by this team. If there was anybody, because this whole team's problem is accountability. Accountability is the key word here. And when you look at the situation, we've heard Jordi Fernandez, who's a guy a coach from Barcelona, who Mike Brown has basically taken everywhere with him. We've heard Quinn Snyder, former Utah Jazz coach. We've heard Kenny Atkinson, Warriors assistant. We've heard Charles Lee of the Milwaukee Bucks. And yesterday, Mark Stein of the Steinline said Ime Udoka is being considered. And you know that I brought up Landry Fields, former Spurs front office guy, worked in the Spurs front office at the same time as who? Ime Udoka. So they said they're immediately starting their head coach search. Joe Prunty, former Milwaukee Bucks interim coach, is the interim coach. What are your thoughts of this whole situation? Nate McMillan almost resigned in December.
Isn't that pretty rare that they are going after a coach like right now? Is that usually delegated to the summer?
So they haven't said if they're going to sign someone mid-season. What was unprecedented was a few years ago was the Minnesota Timberwolves when they fired Ryan Saunders. The same day they fired Ryan Saunders, they announced they had hired a head coach. That's unprecedented. Where you fire a coach the same in the middle of the season. Like we fired Ryan Saunders like 30 games into the season, and within an hour, within the hour that we announced firing him, we announced that we had signed Chris Finch to a 4-year deal. Mm-hmm.
I'd love. Yeah, that's a quick turnaround. I'd love the Hawks to go grab Ime right now. I mean, even the other candidates, I think Ime is clearly the guy for the job. I mean, no disrespect. If it wasn't Ime, I think it'd be Quinn Snyder. Kenny is kind of like the Miles Turner of coaching rumors. But yeah, the Landry Fields connection and just I think like the interesting thing with the Atlanta Hawks now is because Nate did such a good job that year. He got him to the playoffs, got him to the Eastern Conference Finals. And, it's crazy because that was like 2 years ago and just so much stuff has happened since then. And as Cyro just said, thinking about resigning in January or December or whatever it was. And it's just shocking. I think this team, there's going to have to be a quick turnaround because you went out there, you acquired DeJounte Murray. John Collins expressed his displeasure not too long ago. So now all eyes are kind of becoming on, is Trae Young the problem? Can you build a team with Trae Young? Is Trae Young a coach killer? What's the word? And I think Ime Udoka fits exactly what they need because Ime is a guy you respect.
Accountability. He's gonna
respect this man.
Well, Luke always tells me the reason why the Boston Celtics turned around last year was Ime Udoka would walk into the locker room and cuss out every single player,
and that's what you got to do.
He would literally just berate, like he would berate Jason Tatum. He would berate Jaylen Brown, but he didn't berate anyone more. He berated every person equally, and everyone talked about that. That it was like he treated everyone equal, and he got on your ass equally. No person, you know what I mean, had a pass. Everyone was getting their ass chewed by Ime Udoka, and I think that's something. And John Collins says accountability. This team's biggest problem is accountability, and for me, I think you look at this. It's definitely a interesting situation. So if you look at the current situation, they're 29-30. Third, it was Nate McMillan's technically third season. This team has lost 8 of their last 13. They're 23rd in point differential this year. And this is a team that we're only 2 years removed from an Eastern Conference Finals trip, which Nate McMillan did as an intern coach, who they fired Lloyd Pierce to hire Nate McMillan because Nate McMillan, not to hire, but to promote Nate McMillan to interim coach and eventually promoted him to, full-time head coach. And it was due to the strong relationship he had with Trae Young. Now, back in December, we knew that Atlanta was managing the issue between Nate McMillan when Young chose not to attend one of the team's games against the Nuggets following an exchange with Nate McMillan at a shoot-around. And after that event, Nate McMillan strongly considered resigning from his position. Like, literally, they had to convince him not to go. And the team was planning on already firing Nate McMillan at the end of the season. They just felt like the move had to be done now. So we've heard Kings assistant Jordi Fernandez, who I think if we're not going to hire Ime Udoka, Jordi Fernandez, you should do a quick search of Jordi Fernandez. You're going to fall in love with him. He's 40 years old, born in Badalona, Spain. He went to the University of Barcelona and Haag School of Van Amsterdam. His first job in the NBA was working for the Canton Charge. Then Mike Brown discovered him, where he tutored Kyrie Irving, Tristan Thompson, Dion Waiters, and Matthew Dellavedova. And then he also helped develop Monte Morris, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. And Jordi Fernandez this past year was hired to be the lead assistant on Mike Brown's bench, and he has been credited to helping develop Keegan Murray. And he has a PhD in sports psychology.
But a mid-season hire of somebody already on a coaching staff, I don't think that would happen.
No. If they go into the offseason.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, I mean, I think this season's kind of a wash for Atlanta. I think they will improve, rather. I mean, it's not like 2 games below 500 is the end of the world, and you still got a lot of talent on this team. Or sorry, 1 game below 500. But as far as like championship aspirations, I think that ship is sailed for the season, but I mean, they certainly could get up to the 6th seed and just get solidified in the playoffs. But
do you want to hear what Jordi Fernandez's academic article he wrote is called?
Sure.
For college. Identifying and analyzing the construction and the effectiveness of offensive plays in basketball by using systematic observation.
Nice.
That's the paper he wrote in college. Oh, and he doesn't have a PhD. He's 1 academic article away from receiving his PhD. And it's a PhD in sports psychology with extensive research and studying of the observation of human behavior. I fucking love Jordi Fernandez. Tell me you don't love this. A coach with a fucking psych degree.
Yeah.
Like, and he's also the assistant coach of the Nigerian basketball team. I really say, if you're gonna hire someone mid-season, it's Ime Udoka. And
yeah, that'd be it. And that's, you got to also think too, like, what are these teams thinking of Ime? You know, as much as we.
Oh, you got to be ready. You got to be ready for the PR nightmare.
Yeah. They already got a PR nightmare going on. I wonder what the situation is in the Hawks locker room. I'd pay like $10 to know what the vibe is in the Hawks locker room, because like all these players like Kevin Huerter, I guess he hasn't really kind of said straight up that Atlanta was bad at all. He hasn't insinuated that, but he does kind of drop some stuff about just being appreciated out in Sacramento. And I wonder if the players are uniting. If they united around Nate not being the coach for them, or if they're uniting around Trae Young is the issue and our team is the issue. So,
no, I'm definitely interested to see how this whole plays out, due to the fact that I don't know. Like, first off, Trae Young's having his worst season since his rookie year, and this is a team that I don't know. Like, is it they're saying that they need motivations. Also, Swaggy, let's talk Knicks basketball tomorrow.
Knicks tape.
But, yeah, no. Trae Young spent his whole offseason practicing with Steph Curry, training with Steph Curry to learn how to play off ball. What happened to all that training? And there's no defense. And this has been the problem for the team for the last 3 years.
Last year, they were like the 3rd-ranked defense.
This team is the 4th. Going into next season will be the 4th highest payroll in all the NBA.
And somehow they're still extremely cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, they were a horrible defense last year. Sorry. His offense. They were ranked 2. So if you have the 2nd best offense, that's tough because if they had the second best offense last year and they still were just 4 games above 500, that's a little tough. But they did acquire DeJounte Murray, but they also
They're also
lost.
saying that the players were not responding to Nate McMillan's old school ways.
Okay, so if they're uniting around Nate not being the coach, that's so much better for the Hawks.